On the morning of September 10, 1999, 17-year-old Jessica Dishon vanished without a trace from her home in Shepherdsville, Kentucky. The red Pontiac parked in the driveway told an eerie story. The door was ajar, Jessica's backpack and cell phone were still inside, and one of her shoes lay on the ground. She was last seen by her family, leaving for her job at a local department store. Jessica never made it there. What began as a missing person case quickly spiraled into a high-profile murder mystery that would remain unsolved for more than a decade. Initially, local authorities treated Jessica's disappearance as a possible teenage runaway situation, but her family, especially her mother Edna Dishon, was adamant Jessica was responsible, dedicated, and would never simply vanish. The evidence supported their fears. The presence of her belongings in the car and no signs of a planned departure indicated foul play. Despite these red flags, critical time was lost in the early investigation. When the FBI became involved, the scope of the search expanded drastically, with hundreds of volunteers combing through nearby fields, woods, and rivers. Then, on September 27, 1999, nearly 17 days after Jessica disappeared, a gruesome discovery shattered the community. A bus driver stumbled upon Jessica's decomposing body in a remote field near her home. She had been sexually assaulted and strangled, with indications she had been held captive for days. Her body was intentionally posed, possibly left as a message or to elicit shock. It was clear this wasn't a random act. Someone had taken the time and effort to conceal her, only to later place her remains where they would be found. Suspicion quickly fell on a next-door neighbor, David "Bucky" Brooks, who had inserted himself into the investigation early on and was reportedly acting erratically. He failed a polygraph test and gave inconsistent accounts of his whereabouts on the day Jessica disappeared. Authorities believed they had enough circumstantial evidence to charge him. In 2001, Brooks was indicted for Jessica's murder. But when the case went to trial in 2003, the evidence fell apart under scrutiny. With no DNA, no witnesses, and only inconsistent statements to go on, the jury was unconvinced. The case ended in a mistrial, and charges were eventually dropped. Jessica's murder went cold. For nearly 14 years, the Dishon family lived without answers. But behind the scenes, law enforcement had not given up. In 2013, a major break came this time, from within Jessica's own family. Her uncle, Stanley Dishon, became the focus of a renewed investigation. Stanley had a criminal record that included sexual misconduct, and had once been questioned during the original investigation, but was never seriously considered a suspect. The new investigation unearthed statements from jail informants who claimed Stanley had confessed to them. According to their accounts, Stanley lured Jessica into his van on the morning of her disappearance, possibly to talk about a personal matter or due to prior inappropriate behavior. He reportedly feared she would reveal secrets about him, including possible sexual abuse. When she resisted, he panicked and killed her, keeping her body hidden for days before disposing of it. Authorities gathered enough evidence to indict Stanley Dishon. In 2014, facing the overwhelming prospect of trial, Stanley accepted an Alford plea, which allowed him to maintain his innocence while acknowledging that prosecutors had sufficient evidence to convict him. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison for first-degree sexual abuse, unlawful imprisonment, and manslaughter. Although the plea deal avoided a full murder trial, it offered some closure to Jessica's family after years of pain and uncertainty. Still, the outcome left many unsatisfied. Critics questioned whether justice had truly been served. The Alford plea meant that the court never formally found him guilty of murder, and no detailed confession was ever made in open court. Others wondered whether there might have been additional accomplices or missed opportunities to hold someone more accountable earlier. Jessica Dishon's case is a sobering reminder of the fragility of justice, the weight of family betrayal, and the importance of persistence in solving cold cases. It highlights how investigative errors can derail a case for years, and how justice, though delayed, can eventually find its way, even when it comes with unanswered questions.